I transmigrated into a dog blood novel. The system wanted me to sacrifice selflessly, work like a dog, and finally die to make the female lead regret for life. I asked the system, in the end, as long as she regrets it, that is fine, right? The system replied, that is correct. I smiled knowingly. On the very first day of my transmigration, I beat the crazy female lead so hard her teeth scattered all over the floor. The system was shocked, the script was not written like this. I clapped my hands, just tell me, is she regretting it or not? I entered a twisted world, possessing the body of an eldest young master named Shinemo. Just like his name, he was quiet and weak-willed. He worked like a slave and sacrificed everything for his family and fiancée. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, he was despised by absolutely everyone. Everyone in the family favored the youngest son, Shinshu. Even his fiancée, Bairuashi, blatantly showed her favoritism. Later, on Shinshu's birthday, he made a wish to have Bairuashi be his girlfriend for a month. Everyone advised me to be generous and not bicker with my younger brother. I caught them kissing passionately in a secluded corner. When I stepped forward to argue, I was brutally beaten by Bairuashi's bodyguards. In utter despair, I slit my wrists to commit suicide. Upon learning of my death, everyone suddenly regretted like mad. My parents wept bitterly, and the female lead was filled with remorse. They cried tears of grief, praying to the gods and hoping I would return. But the dead cannot be brought back to life. They spent the rest of their lives in agonizing regret. Glancing over the plot quickly, I almost threw up in disgust. So touching, boo-hoo. The system humanely wiped away its non-existent tears. Suppressed the churning in my stomach, I asked, so now I have become Shinemo? Yes. The purpose of summoning you is to have you follow the plot, using the most tragic death to make them regret. Especially that birthday scene, you must perform it well. I interrupted the system's long-winded speech. Where's the original male lead? He was a coward. After learning the plot, he committed suicide. That is not important. You must act out that humble feeling of unrequited love, preferably with some tears of endurance after being humiliated. I waved my hand, sat down heavily on the chair, and crossed my legs. Too difficult, I cannot play this role. You should just send me back. The system replied, sorry, I can't do that. Only by completing the plot and gathering enough regret points will I have the energy to send you back. My energy is limited, and I can only sustain your life for 3 months. If the mission isn't completed in 3 months, you will truly die. So you mean as long as they feel regret, it's fine, right? My lips curled slightly, thinking to myself that there was actually no need to strictly follow the plot. The simple-minded system didn't catch my drift yet when a sudden gasp came from outside. Looking out, Chinshu was lying soaking wet in Bairuashi's arms. Chen-mo, why did you push Chinshu? You clearly know he can't swim. You are so malicious. Bairuashi held Chinshu, condemning me with righteous indignation. Before I could speak, an interface appeared in front of me with only one stat, regret points, 0. Bairuashi and I were childhood friends, while this younger brother was her stepmother's child. They had only known each other for 2 years. But in just those 2 years, there was no longer any place for me in her heart. She not only took my sacrifices for granted but also stood by Chen Shu's side to humiliate me just to please him. For this kind of woman, I only have one word, bitch. Don't blame brother. Chen Shu weakly raised his hand with a pitiful look, he just wanted to teach me how to swim. I was too stupid and couldn't learn even after swallowing water for 10 minutes. He painfully spat out a mouthful of water, his brow furrowed. Bairuashi suddenly panicked, shaking his body repeatedly. I stared at them as if looking at idiots. The next second, I pulled out my phone and dialed the police. Officer, I'd like to report a crime. A severe assault has occurred at XX Road, YY Community. The victim was pushed into a pool and is drowning, they are about to die. Hearing my voice, Chen Shu's body froze, his face turning even paler. Bairuashi didn't notice, still caught up in panic. I dialed the emergency services again. Someone is drowning at XX Road, YY Community. They are about to die, please send an ambulance as soon as possible. Chen Shu quickly scrambled up, pushing Bairuashi away, brother, I'm fine now. Having said that, Chen Shu did a backflip on the spot and struck a pose. He grinned, see, I'm fine. I walked over and pressed his shoulders down. No, you are not fine. I am fine. You are not. I'm really fine. I turned and shouted at the dazed Bairuashi, what are you staring for? Can't you see he's already delirious? A drowning person must lie down, otherwise there will be severe sequelae. Bairuashi froze for a moment. Right, Qinshu, lie down quickly. Ignoring Qinshu's protests, she forced him down onto the ground. Before he could react, I sat right on top of him. What are you doing? He panicked. Cut the crap, I'm saving you. I pressed both hands onto his chest and looked up to instruct Bairuwashi beside him, hold his hands down. It might hurt a bit, but it's all for his own good. I pressed down hard, and Qinshu let out a squeal like a slaughtered pig. Bairuwashi's face paled as she flew into a rage. What are you doing? Get lost. Off guard, I was pushed down to the ground by her. My forehead slammed against the floor, causing sharp pain. Damn it, she dared to hit me. I got up and slapped her face several times. Completely unprepared, Bairuwashi took the slaps head on, her entire body spinning like a top. The system screamed in my head, what did you do? Beating up the female lead? I replied coldly, teaching her how to behave like a decent human being. While my hands were busy slapping, my mouth didn't stop either, delivering slap after slap. How dare you hit this young master? Who gave you the nerve? You bitch, piece of trash. Bairuwashi finally regained her senses and shrieked, Chen Mo, how dare you? Slap. Before she could finish, her words were cut short by another slap. This is for hitting me. Slap, another blow landed. Do you have any idea how much trauma your push has caused to my fragile young soul? Stop, slap, another slap. Don't hit me anymore. Bairuwashi cried out. No matter what she said, my slaps never stopped, and I kept repeating, this is for hitting me. This is for hitting me. I had to use the most direct way to let her know that getting beaten up was exactly what she deserved. Bairuwashi finally couldn't take it anymore. She raised her leg and kicked me hard. Failing to dodge, I took a heavy hit. I roared, you bitch, you dare to hit me back? I roared in anger, grabbed his arm, and slammed it against his knee with all my might. A shrill, miserable scream echoed. Stop, 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 stop. Ignoring his pleas, I continued to swing my fists at his head. If I didn't beat him until he was terrified, he would never regret it. He continued to hurl insults, his language growing filthier. My fists swung faster and faster, eventually reaching a strange balance. Every time he cursed, I landed a punch. A few minutes later, his head was swollen like a pig's, unable to utter a single coherent word. Qinshu lay on the ground, a flicker of fear in his eyes, his body trembling as he dared not look in this direction. To frame me, he had driven all the servants away beforehand, determined to leave me with no way to defend myself. Ironically, this created the perfect conditions for me instead. Bairuwashi was left isolated and helpless, her eyes filled with despair. Right at that moment, the progress bar on the panel suddenly moved forward a notch, and the regret value rose from 0 to 5. She curled up on the ground, constantly begging for mercy. I was wrong, it was all my fault. The system had been screaming for quite a while now. What are you doing? You are ruining the plot. Be quiet, I pointed at the panel. Don't you see the regret value has already gone up? The system protested, but what about the plot? What about tears? What about love? I'm just asking you, is she feeling regretful or not? Silence. Bairuwashi's miserable wailing continued, but the sound of police sirens drifted in from outside. The police cars sped all the way to the villa's entrance. Our neighborhood was an upscale community, usually very quiet. It was rare to have such a chaotic event, so even the long-paralyzed old man was wheeled out by his nanny to watch the drama. The police quickly approached us. Who called the police? Officer, you must help me. Shin Mo wanted to drown his younger brother, and when I went to stop him, he beat me up. Bairuwashi accused me angrily. But in the next second, she froze. She saw me lying on the ground at some point, rolling side to side, looking as though I was exhaling more than I was inhaling. What happened to you? I raised my hand trembling, pointing weakly at Bairuwashi. She beat. His face darkened instantly. Bairuwashi hurriedly waved her hands to deny. I didn't, he was the one who hit me. Qinshu quickly scrambled up to testify. I testify, he beat Sister Bai. I immediately showed an extremely furious expression. This woman is my fiancé, and this man is my brother. The two of them colluded behind my back and were caught by me. I then put on an extremely embarrassed look, allowing others to imagine a lot of things. Officer, look, they are in cahoots. His words cannot be trusted. The police officer hesitated slightly. Someone reported a drowning earlier. Let's handle that matter first, then we can talk about your dispute. Bairuwashi pointed at me in anger. He was the one who pushed Qinshu into the pool. My whole body trembled as I showed a terrified look. it wasn't me, officer, I was the one who called the police. Someone wanted to drown someone. There must be a culprit in this area, which is why I called the police. The officer recorded the details and casually asked, where is the security camera? Seeing the police ask about the security room, Bairuashi glared at me, displaying a you're dead look. Only Chinshu's face froze. At this moment, the building manager also rushed over. After a brief exchange, they led the police toward the security room. As expected of the police, they were indeed very dedicated. When reading similar novels before, I found it very confusing. The male lead was wronged, but in such a massive villa, was there really not a single camera? Yet everyone was forced by the plot, simply forgetting to check the surveillance. The male lead could only cry, creating forced abuse that disgusted me to watch. Reaching the security room, Chinshu's face turned incredibly pale. This time it was truly pale because he was about to be exposed. The room fell into a dead silence when the ambulance arrived just in time. A male nurse carrying a stretcher followed the building manager inside. Where is the injured person? Chinshu immediately coughed twice, indicating he was the victim. I also followed suit, covering my mouth and coughing. Acting, after all, who doesn't know how to do it? The nurse quickly checked both me and Chinshu. After a brief examination, the nurse let out a sigh of relief. You two don't have any major issues, however. If he's fine, then it's just for insurance. We'd better quickly go to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup. Bairuashi's racing heart finally settled down. It was best that nothing was wrong. Chinshu nodded in cooperation. I pretended to be surprised. Is little brother really okay? He looked so weak just now, I thought he was about to die. Shut your filthy mouth. Bairuashi immediately scolded. My face darkened, and I thought to myself, it seems he hasn't been beaten enough. On the surface, I maintained a natural demeanor. If there's no problem, how about we wait for the police to finish checking the surveillance cameras before leaving? Nonsense. Bairuashi raged, do you want Chinshu to die of pain? Chinshu immediately whimpered in cooperation, gently tugging at her sleeve, Sister Ruashi, I feel so dizzy. Let's go to the hospital. He obviously had to leave quickly because once the police checked the cameras, his hypocritical face would be exposed. I naturally wouldn't let him get his way. I then said, Officer, this woman is seducing my brother, she is morally corrupt. Shut your trash mouth. Bairuashi was so furious that fire sparked from her eyes. I crossed my arms, pretending to be afraid. Bairuashi, the police are still here, yet you dare to insult me? Don't forget that I am still your fiancé right now. Hearing this, Bairuashi retorted, look at yourself first. If your character weren't so despicable, I wouldn't be scolding you. My eyes reddened as I asked, where's my character low? Clearly, you are my fiancé, yet you are fooling around with my brother. You are the one with low character. The argument completely infuriated Bairuashi, causing her to spit out vulgarities. Concepts like propriety, shame, virtue, and manners were all thrown to the back of her mind. Various insults flew out in her rage, but her mind still hadn't cleared up because she was used to scolding me. She didn't think there was any problem, nor did she notice that the expressions of the people around her had changed. I shrank my neck and hid behind the police. Look, everyone, she usually treats me like this. Realizing the reaction of the crowd, she suddenly woke up and hurriedly justified herself, everything I said is true. Unfortunately, it was hard for everyone to believe her. They only saw a woman failing her wifely duties, covering up for her brother-in-law while cursing at her own fiancé. Right at that moment, the camera footage was walking out of the police station, everything had been clearly investigated. Chen Shu had voluntarily jumped into the lake to frame Chen Mo. The video and audio recordings were extremely clear, absolutely leaving no room for mistake. Bairuashi had a look of utter shock on her face and immediately denied it. Chen Shu would never do such a thing. Facts speak louder than words. Are you saying we fabricated this? The police officer said in a cold, emotionless voice while staring intently at Bairuashi. But she still refused to believe it and ran inside to check the surveillance camera herself. A few minutes later, she walked out looking completely devastated. Why is this happening? Her eyes were filled with disappointment. Chen Shu did not know how to explain, her face turning deathly pale. Suddenly, she sat flat on the ground, clutching her stomach and groaning, it hurts so much, it hurts so much. Bairuashi did not have time to ask further and quickly called an ambulance to take her to the hospital. I poked my head out from behind the police officer, looking at her with a sneer. Bairuashi, the truth is right before your eyes. Previously, you beat and scolded me because of Chen Shu, does your conscience not hurt? Bairuashi's body stiffened slightly. She said nothing and silently helped load Chen Shu onto the stretcher. At this moment, the regret points on her face increased slightly, reaching level 10. Damn it. This bitch framed me so many times, yet she only gained this few regret points. System, do you see this? According to this plot, I don't believe her regret points will reach 100 by the time I die. The system replied, how would you know without trying? Too lazy to argue with the system, I immediately lay flat on the ground groaning, it hurts so much, it hurts so much. I was beaten so badly by Ruashi. Fuming with rage, Ruashi barked, you are lying. Who beat you? Clearly you were the one who beat me. At this moment, the police officer stepped forward to uphold justice. Miss Bai, the camera shows that when Chen Shu fell into the water, Chen Mo went forward to help. It was you who pushed him first, and only then did he resist. The subsequent event was merely a mutual scuffle. Only then did she remember that she had indeed pushed me. Heavens above. Lying on the ground, I said in a highly aggrieved tone, I want to sue her, I want her to go to jail. The police had long found Ruashi unpleasant to the eye, so naturally, they would not miss this opportunity. The officer stepped forward to arrest her. Ruashi never expected things to escalate to this point, standing there completely frozen in shock. Her regret points panel skyrocketed crazily, quickly reaching 20. The system exclaimed in surprise, holy crap, boss, you are so awesome. Lying in the ambulance, I casually chatted with the system in my mind. Do you know why she falsely accused me at home for so many days, but the moment she heard about going to jail, it instantly jumped to 20? The system asked curiously, why? Because the essence of human nature is to bully the weak and fear the strong. When people do bad things, if they don't face punishment, they will never regret it. I leaned sideways slightly, changing to a more comfortable position as I continued to ponder. Look at those corrupt officials and murderers crying and repenting in prison, are they truly remorseful? Not at all. They are only crying because they are about to be sentenced. If they hadn't been caught, they would never regret it. At the hospital, I underwent a comprehensive examination. Chen Shu only had minor abrasions, while I was diagnosed with a mild concussion, plus multiple bruises all over my body. I thought to myself, I don't remember getting beaten up. The system quickly explained, host, those are from before when they beat you. I sneered in my mind, that's perfect, this bucket of dirty water will be dumped entirely on Ruashi's head. The police announcement was quickly released. Chen Shu pretended to drown to frame me, while I disregarded past grievances to rescue him. Ruashi thought I wanted to harm Chen Shu, so in her anger, she attacked me. I immediately fought back and brawled with her, then I prosecuted Ruashi to make sure she went to jail. She was criminally detained and actually locked up in prison. Only then was she completely dumbfounded. Her regret points on the panel exploded instantly, soaring to 30. Although the Bai family is not a prominent clan, they are a clean and respectable family. The arrest of the eldest young mistress of the family immediately drew the attention of reporters, who rushed over. When the incident happened, there were many onlookers, and most of them stood on my side. Everyone was disdainful of Ruashi for cheating and assaulting her fiancé. In just a short afternoon, the news spread everywhere. Ruashi was scolded mercilessly by her family, causing her regret points to skyrocket to 50. I let out a cold laugh. It seems she is someone who values face extremely highly. Being scolded by her family and reported by journalists directly added 20 regret points, which is much higher than when she beat me. Since that is the case, I will naturally not let go of this weakness of hers. I secretly had the police announcement spread. In just one night, reports of the Bai family's eldest young mistress cheating with her step-brother-in-law flooded all over the newspaper. The news of me being stabbed quickly spread through the streets and alleys. Countless reporters rushed to the hospital to interview me. Facing the camera, I wept bitterly, adding color to the story as I recounted the whole process. The entire hot search board was occupied by me. Countless netizens flooded into the social media accounts of Chen Shu and Ruashi with sarcasm, with countless unbearable insults. After Ruashi found out, the regret points on her panel increased by another 10 points. I was in a great mood, pulling out my phone to read the comments below one by one. Reading the exciting parts, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Before long, the ward door was pushed open, and two people walked into the room aggressively. I looked up, and it was none other than my cheap father and malicious stepmother. There were also panels floating in front of them, but their regret points were both 0. I had suffered all kinds of grievances at home and sacrificed everything for them. Now that I was hospitalized, they still showed up with such an overbearing attitude. Their faces were gloomy, and their eyes were filled with hatred, as if I had done something heinous. Dad, Mom, I called out weakly with a pale face. Stop acting, my stepmother gritted her teeth. Ruashi just gave you a gentle push, and you got a fracture. Who are you putting on a show for? My dad also chimed in, look at how old you are, you don't make me worry-free at all. Why did you put Bairuwashi in jail? Have you considered the consequences of offending the Bai family? Where do you put the family's reputation and business? The two of them lectured me back and forth, completely ignoring my feelings, just telling me to withdraw the lawsuit quickly. I was utterly speechless. With such disgusting faces, the system actually wanted me to work like an ox and a horse, making selfless sacrifices. Pfft, toxic scum. I refuted with red eyes, it was Chen Shu who framed me first. Your younger brother said that because you always bully him, he was driven to helplessness and made a temporary mistake. And then you guys forgave him on my behalf? You believe whatever he says? My stepmother still had that teeth-gritting look. Chen Shu is pure and kind, unlike you, who is full of lies. Pure and kind? I sneered. It wasn't the first time he had done this. One moment they say I scolded him, the next they say I beat him. If there wasn't solid evidence this time, the victim would still be me. Nonsense. Even now, you are still framing your younger brother. Father was furious, his tone turning ice-cold. Taking 10,000 steps back, it is a family misfortune. It is your fault for making this matter known to everyone. Moreover, Bairuwashi is your fiancé, is it manly of you to cause her to face criminal charges like this? I questioned them back. Now you actually admit she is my fiancé? Isn't she Chen Shu's fiancé? The two of them stammered. The stepmother, unable to control her temper, rushed forward and grabbed my collar. Stop pretending. Sign the petition to drop the charges so Ruwashi can get out quickly. Also, tell the media that you instigated your younger brother first, and he only resisted because he was pushed to a corner. Otherwise, with the guards standing at the door, any slight movement would not have failed to affect what was happening inside the room. This is truly sick literature, no one here is normal. System, just you wait. I will make them regret this. I swore to myself that I would absolutely never forgive anyone who had ever humiliated me. But right now, depending on others and needing to complete the mission, I was forced by circumstances to sign the petition. In less than half an hour, Bairuwashi walked out of the police station. The whole group went to the hospital to visit Chen Shu. They wept miserably together, completely forgetting that I was still in the hospital room right next door. The stepmother brought reporters to the hospital, telling me to reveal the truth behind the matter. Under the sinister glares of the entire family, I spoke exactly as they had instructed. I said that I had bullied Chen Shu, and he had only framed me out of a momentary impulse. The reporters left after the interview. Soon after, the internet was flooded with my apology video and interviews from family members. My father, mother, and Bairuwashi all stood on Chen Shu's side. Father remained silent at home, but all spearheads were aimed at Chen Mo, claiming I took his room, took his belongings, and frequently insulted him. I had advised him many times, but it was useless. The stepmother cried miserably. It is all my fault that Chen Mo turned out like this. Please do not blame him. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I have done my best to be a good mother. Netizens constantly reversed their opinions. Chen Mo is truly disgusting, even to his own family. Everyone also despised him, it served him right, no wonder his fiancée looked down on him. After the video was released, Chen Shu and Bairuwashi successfully cleared their names, while I was overwhelmed by overwhelming curses. For the next few days, I was like discarded trash, left uncared for. I stayed alone in the hospital room for a whole week, and they only remembered me after bringing Chen Shu back home. It was your younger brother who repeatedly asked us to bring you back, you should thank him. My stepmother held Chen Shu's hand, her expression gentle, as if coming to see me was a massive favor. Chen Shu pitifully came to my bedside, brother, can you forgive me? On the surface, I pretended we had a deep brotherly bond, grabbing his hand and acting like an affectionate older brother. I could even feel the goosebumps suddenly rising on his arm. Only my parents and Bairuwashi had faces full of family bliss. Sure enough, this world is crazy. Back home, I prepared to do something even crazier, climbing straight up to the second-floor balcony, ready to jump and die. I am such a bastard. I actually hit my fiancé and envied my younger brother, I am not human. I wept bitterly, in extreme grief, with half of my body leaning out, seemingly truly ashamed of my behavior. Child, don't do anything foolish, come down quickly. My parents and Bairuwashi all came downstairs, their expressions changing drastically upon seeing this scene. They were extremely anxious. Chen Mo, come down quickly, let's have a good talk. No, just let me die, I was too much of a bastard in the past. Watching the regret points constantly rising in front of them, I felt secretly thrilled. Sure enough, this is a crazy world, it's just the second floor, even if I fall, I'd at most scrape off a layer of skin, yet they are all like fools, only focusing on what's right in front of them. Chen Mo, it's all my fault for always scolding and hitting you before, can you forgive me? My child, Dad was wrong, Dad will never ignore your feelings again, come down quickly. We went back and forth like this for over half an hour. Seeing that the time was ripe and dragging it out any longer would make it easy to blow my cover, I shouted loudly. Mom, Dad, wife, see you in the next life. Then I jumped right toward Bairuashi's direction. Upon landing, I grabbed a handful of. I squeezed it. Squeezed it hard. Then, I closed my eyes and pretended to be unconscious. When I fell, I intentionally misplaced my hand, causing a minor fracture in my arm. My family tucked me into bed and took care of me the entire time. After this incident, they were all extremely attentive and warm towards me. They revolved around me every day, completely ignoring Chen Shu. Filled with resentment, he tried his old tricks again, using petty schemes to frame me. But this time, everyone seemed to have evolved from being blind to possessing sharp, discerning eyes. Without needing me to explain, they dissected the details, caught the flaws, and scolded Chen Shu. Previously, Chen Shu's framing methods were not even clever, yet everyone acted blind and dumped all the blame on me. Now that I have started to act crazy, these people are suddenly no longer blind, they have become even smarter than Direnjia. As expected, twisted literature requires a twisted person to conquer. Holy crap, the system suddenly screamed. Host, look quickly. Their regret points have reached 90. I was genuinely shocked. This did not make any sense. Did they suddenly regain their senses and realize they had wrongly accused me in the past? I began to doubt my previous judgment. No matter how I analyzed it, this defied common sense. Yet, the reality was unfolding in an even more illogical direction. Unable to figure it out, I simply didn't bother thinking about it anymore. If I could succeed in this conquest without doing anything, that would be for the best. 3 more days passed, and everyone's regret points remained unchanged. I was utterly baffled as to why the progress bar was showing no movement. The system suggested, maybe they will only reach full fulfillment after you die. I curled my lips and replied extremely venomously, I'll be dead by then. What use would I have for these trash regret points? Another 3 days went by. As I lay in bed, my stepmother walked over with a smile, holding a bowl of congee. However, the moment she turned around, I keenly noticed her brow furrow slightly. I realized she was starting to lose patience with me. Thank you, Mom, I said softly. Could you please help me get that apple? My stepmother still smiled and agreed. However, the progress bar above her head began to regress. The regret points dropped from 90 straight down to 50. The system began to scream frantically, what's going on? What's going on? Why are the regret points? Knowing they had wronged me, they indeed felt very guilty. However, this guilt was extremely illusory, unable to withstand the test of time. Even if the worlds will force them to behave erratically like they were having seizures, the fundamental operation of the world still had to follow basic logic. No matter how much they regretted it, they would eventually return to their original track. Dislike is dislike, they couldn't suddenly fall in love with me just because they realized they had wronged me. Realizing this, I prepared to launch my counterattack. I intentionally spilled porridge onto my stepmother's clean dress. She shrieked and jumped up, shouting, "Are you blind or stupid? You bastard!" This was her truest attitude toward me. She had never hidden it before, only restraining it slightly after realizing she had always wronged me. Now that her patience was exhausted, she finally showed her true colors. After scolding me, she realized her attitude was improper and forced a smile, saying, It's fine. She was still suppressing her temper, but the progress bar above her head was frantically dropping, falling to just 1 point in a matter of minutes. In that case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Now that my body has recovered, I no longer have to worry about their threats. I opened my computer and fully exposed the truth of the matter, along with how my family protected Qinshu while framing and bullying me. Of course, I also uploaded the recording of them threatening me to whitewash Qinshu and Bairuashi a few days ago. At that time, I deliberately kept a card up my sleeve just to play a big game. Now that the time was ripe, I threw it all onto the internet. Catching everyone off guard, the entire internet erupted, and the online opinion reversed once again. Bairuashi and Qinshu were cursed to high heaven, and even the businesses of both families were severely affected. Upon receiving the news, several of them immediately rushed back home. My stepmother scolded furiously, "Chen Mo, what did you do? How could you go back on your word?" My father was also trembling with rage. "After all the forbearance we've shown you these past few days, is this how you repay us? Bairuashi kept swearing, "You useless trash, scum, animal." I watched them quietly as the regret points on the panel quickly dropped to 0. System, why has it become 0? I was still full of confidence. Cow, alright, I am going to start showing off now. Coming before everyone, you all should know very well why I did this. You abused me, bullied me, beat me, and cursed me. I sacrificed everything for you, yet you never cared about me. This is your retribution. The regret points on the panel jumped from 0 to 10 again. I just want them to realize that when they hurt me, they will suffer too, and only then will they feel regret. System, it is only 10 points, what is there to be happy about? I turned around and went back into the room, uploading all the collected materials online. Medical records, voice recordings from my daily life, and surveillance videos were all posted. Netizens were shocked. The PR teams of the two major families desperately tried to make excuses. However, my evidence was too solid, leaving them with absolutely nothing to say. Now Chen Shu and Bai Ruashi do not even dare to step outside, and their families are also in a complete mess. They tried threats and bribes, warning me not to babble on the internet anymore. But I had already moved into an apartment right next to the police station, so I was not afraid of their threats at all. Both companies were severely affected, and their business operations grew worse by the day. Under the heavy blows from multiple sides, everyone's regret points soared, with the highest reaching 70. A few days passed, and their regret points remained stagnant, and even the online public opinion was suppressed significantly. It seems I still have to go all out. I pulled out my ID card and made a real name report. I, Chen Mo, am reporting our family businesses under my real name for tax evasion and smuggling. Don't they highly value Chen Shu, their family, their reputation, and their career? I will destroy everything they cherish. After the video was posted, the internet completely exploded. The heat had not even died down, and my move left the Chen family with no time to react. My report video spread across the web instantly. With solid proof, the company's going bankrupt is only a matter of time. Even if they don't, they will be heavily crippled. In just one morning, my parents' regret points reached 100. However, Bairuashi's regret points stopped changing after reaching 90. She is indeed a heartless woman. System, where is she now? She is currently with Chen Shu at the hot spring resort. System, great, it's not over yet. When arriving at the hot spring resort, it was already afternoon, and their private room was located on the top floor. I pulled out my phone, turned on the prepared micro camera, and live streamed the entire process. In my heart, I silently counted 1, 2, 3, then kicked open the door and rushed inside. Two pale white bodies were trembling constantly, followed by sharp, ear-piercing screams. I pretended to stagger, my eyes bloodshot. Bairuashi, you bitch, you whore. She was terrified. Right now she was still my fiancé, while Chen Shu was my stepbrother. If this got out, for the sake of the family reputation, she would definitely be kicked out of the house. Moreover, after the series of things I had done recently, it was hard to guarantee that I wouldn't go crazy. I intentionally pulled out my phone, making a gesture to record. Stop. Bairuashi and Chen Shu lunged forward, trying to grab it. I dodged around the room, and after dodging a few times, I backed onto the balcony. As the two of them lunged at me once again, I took advantage of the momentum and fell from the high building. Thud. Bairuashi was stunned, trying to grab me like crazy, but I had already fallen. She screamed in terror. Why was she terrified? In just a few short minutes, she had become a murderer. The regret points on her and Chen Shu's status panels rapidly surged to 100. I laughed out loud in the middle of my fall. System, if death must be used to punish them, then this is the optimal solution. Destroy everything she has, turn her into a murderer, and make it impossible for her to ever recover for the rest of her life. I closed my eyes, a smile still hanging on the corner of my mouth. You see, they are regretting to death right now. The Chen family's company was seized, and the parents went from successful elites to debt-ridden paupers. Bairuashi and Chen Shu were locked in prison for murder. After this incident, the Bai family was also on the verge of bankruptcy, their reputation completely ruined. There wasn't a single moment they weren't filled with regret. This could be considered as completing the novel's ending, making them regret to death. And I have already woken up in reality. My card inexplicably has an extra 10 million yuan. Outside, the sunshine is bright, and my beautiful life has only just begun.